Like the sound of a warthog being hit is, oh, what was it?
The one that made me laugh was Patum.
Patum. The sound of a warthog being stabbed by a giant piranha wasp is gnee.
I mean, that's what happens when I stab a giant warthog with a piranha wasp. Yeah,
It goes gnee. That's what happens when I fight 30 to 50 feral hogs with my AR-15.
that's also the sound I make when I see a spider or ejaculate.
Exactly the same sound. Gnee.
Too much energon.
Too much Energon, like this podcast.
The beasts are here, McLeod, for the gathering.
Freedom is the right of all sentient beings, Megatron.
Then they'd better stay out of my way. Blah, 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 blah. Beast Wars once and for all.
Big time Gary himself.
Man, these things look like toys.
Maximal! Maximal! Does that mean transform?
Cheetor, what have you done? I am transformed.
Sigma balls, Gary! No, not that.
Your Deceptibugs, Maximals, and Predacons, because it's time to go beast mode. This is episode 110 of Too Much Energon, the podcast where we talk about Beast Wars shit and talk shit about Beast Wars, coming to you live from a mysterious floating mountain somewhere hidden on planet Energon. And I don't know why I'm talking in bated breath, but I am one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
And it's me. I'm Cal. Hello.
Hello, Cal.
Bated breath because we did it. We
did
reached
it.
the end of The Ascending.
Fucking finally, we fucking did it. Holy shit.
This feels like 10 episodes.
Right? And this is
And I'm
it's
not
actually
lumping this together with the last run we just did.
last. Yeah, we did the War for Cybertron trilogy. That was a big chunk of episodes. That was 18 episodes, culminating in episode 100 of Too Much Energon, which is a nice little bit of happenstance that I thought was very delightful. Then we did our nice little interview with Black Kingdom Black Arachnia voice actress Jeannie Carr, which was also a really, really good episode. And then we jumped into Beast Wars, The Gathering.
The Gathering, yeah.
Beast Wars, The Gathering, Connor.
And yeah, this we just finished The Ascending.
And then we did what ended up being the only part of the holiday special, which was Bumblebee commentary. And now we're here for The Ascending.
Now,
I wish we
overall,
weren't.
I thought The Gathering wasn't great. Like, it's
Yeah.
forgettable. I don't even
Yeah.
remember what happened in it. But The Ascending's not great.
We got Chocolat, the Angle Slam, and Unicorn Panda Puffs doing some unholy Trinity type bullshit.
And in this last issue, issue 4, we learned that there's something called the Anti-Matrix.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we sure did. I'm not gonna lie, when I read that, that was the point where I just got it. I was like, I'm done. I just fucking got up. I'm like, the Anti-Matrix. Jesus fucking Christ. Just when you thought this comic couldn't get even stupider.
Okay, so on paper, all of
Which
the
is-
Japanese Beast Wars.
Which technically these were originally printed on paper.
So that's true. So in concept, all of the Japanese Beast Wars getting together and fighting an evil together, and the camera shot pans to planet Energon, and the camera shot pans to Cybertron, and there's this big thing happening. It should be pretty epic, right?
Right.
I could
There-
have
there's
read this faster.
There's one moment where I'm not gonna lie, I kind of just skimmed through it.
I skimmed I read it and tried to give it the old maximal try. And then I just, like, as Siege knows, right before recording, reread the last like 4 pages, 5 pages,
Yeah.
but it didn't help. I'm like, okay, what's happening? Can you explain this? Oh, you don't know either? Oh, okay. Well, what
Yeah.
about this? Oh, I cool story, I guess. Like the ending of this might as well have been, and it was all a dream.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, and that's the thing that I said about I think I said this at the end of the gathering was that like it kind of feels inconsequential. So like it has no like it's trying to like tie itself into the Beast Wars show, but it nothing that actually happens has any consequence on what
And
happens
as
in the
such, it
show.
suffers because it does
S-
nothing original.
So it's like, what's the point? And I definitely, I know I definitely talked about this before, but it's like, okay, like if you want to tie it into the original show, it's like maybe we can explain how Tarantulas discovers the Nemesis and builds his like secret lab where he's like things like that. Like
Yeah,
that's how
because
you
he had a whole like
subterranean like monorail system going to it.
he was doing all of this stuff was revealed like after
Yeah,
he was taken out. He had like multiple secret bases. Like do something with that.
yeah.
Where did he even have the time to do
Or
all of
like
that?
explain where the fuck Megatron found the transmetal driver that turned a few of them into transmetal 2
Did they not
robots.
explain where that came from?
No, Megatron just had it all of a sudden in one episode in season
Right.
2.
We had
Yeah.
talked about it and we were like, no, he got it. Yeah, well, that's how
Yeah, no,
interesting this
it wasn't
the
explained at all in the show where
that's
he
how
got the transmetal
interesting
driver.
uh the ascending is that we immediately just start talking about Beast Wars the TV show.
Right. But my point was though is like if you want to have a like side story that ties into the show, have what happens like fill in blanks basically that the show didn't,
And
which
there's
is
lots of blanks and there's
there's
lots of
lots of
hooks.
blanks.
There's lots of hooks, right? And there's a difference between filling in the blanks and plot holes. I'm okay with, hey, how did this happen? Or where did he get the transmetal driver?
Yeah,
Right? Like I'm okay with that because then it's like, oh, okay.
filling
Off
in the blanks.
screen,
Yeah.
off screen, they were up to something.
But
But
what
just
happens in these comics, like it's a side story that tries to tie itself into the original show, but nothing that happens has any impact on anything that happens in the show. And therefore, the entire thing just feels like a wasted exercise. It's
it's a good
pointless.
summary.
Ultimately, like that's what that is what I will say about Beast Wars The Gathering and Beast Wars The Ascending. The stories are completely pointless.
And not only that, you can tell me a pointless story and have the action or have it less grandiose. There we go. Give me a less grandiose plot, but slow it down and make me care about the characters and the stakes, right?
Right.
When you try to tell such a broad and galaxy ending story, but you only have 4 comics, what ends up happening is it's so full of plot holes and Deus Ex Machina shit. Like we've probably rattled off like at least 5 in these 4 issues. Like, oh, individuals have transwarp drives. What? Remember, like dudes were just like
Right.
popping out of existence, and they're like, ah, we got more. Um,
We have
there's
more angle slam for you, Chocolat, Lord Chocolat.
Lord Count Chocolat Chocolact, and
Lord Count Chocula. There you go.
fuck. And the when things are settled so quickly, and these Deus Ex Machina devices open up more plot holes than the chapters that they are concluding, that's not satisfying. Like pulling off like some things you can get away with. For example, I think Mankmatron saying, hey, I pulled you into my universe for you to see the truth and all of the different realities. Um, oh, cat guy. My brain is shut off reading this thing.
Ravage.
ravage, ravage, so that you can see and change your ways. I'm okay with that because it's like yada yada yada. You spent an indeterminable amount of time seeing the truth, and he comes out and he's like in Kingdom. When Starscream was like, we have to stop him. There's something greater. It's like, okay, I can believe that. But when every page flip is another like head scratcher, that's not good, man.
Magmatron's inconsistent in this issue too. Like it's like it seemed like he had become like enlightened
He's
after,
enlightened. He wants to think of preserving Cybertronians as a race,
but then when
but
like
then he's evil again.
yeah, but then when Ravage like time steps into whatever like chronal phasic bullshit that Magmatron is stuck in, they're like scheming together. And
Yeah,
I'm
and they're
like,
like, "Ooh, now what, Lord Magmatron?" And he's like, "Ha ha ha! Everything is going according to plan." And it's like,
and then when he gets out, he's like, I can think of no monument better to honor, a person to honor with a monument better than Razor Beast.
"Whom I know is dead."
And it's like, what? It's like
Maybe he's just playing the
maybe,
good.
but it's I don't know. It's just inconsistent
It
character.
doesn't
I
know
can
what it wants
believe
to do with Magmatron.
I can believe that this guy who was like the big bad in the gathering after being stuck in basically infinite like in an infinite like alternate like time dimension
Yeah.
for like conceivably like eons from his perspective, I can see him becoming enlightened and being like, no, there are more important things than I.
And you want to know a better version of the exact same fucking story that did that properly?
Dr. Manhattan.
That there's that. And we just watched War for Cybertron Earthrise a while back.
Oh, right,
And
right. Skylinks. Yeah, yeah. When he was stuck in the dead
Skylinks,
universe.
that's the same fucking shit, except that's actually interesting. And it, it's quick. It finishes his thing. He has a powwow with Prime, right? And he's like, I would desire
The
to leave this
the
place, but
Beast
I have
Wars
no
cops are
desire
the
to lead again.
the Beast Wars cops are coming for us. They
Yeah,
hear us
sorry guys,
talking
the
shit.
Beast Wars Cox. Did someone talk shit about Beast Wars? Yeah. But yeah, Skylinks. There we go. Skylinks is believable, and I would let him free. He doesn't seem like he's been scheming for like 10 million years.
Yeah.
It seems like he's reached enlightenment and he's like, I was right to be banished here.
Yeah. But then Magmatron just being like,
Ooh, they fell for my tricks.
yeah, like, fuck off. Jesus.
Twisting his mustache, and it's like, really? When you spend an eternity in like a realm where you can zip through space and time at will and see the different outcomes from different actions, I'm to believe that you still want to gain personal power when you escape this place. Oh, by the way, since we're talking about it in broad strokes, I, so Chocolate Slam, Chocoract, gets
Count
banished
Chocula.
here. Yeah, gets banished here. Um, and he's like, "What is this place?" And he's like, "I am your master." And Magmatron's just like looming behind him, and it's a big blank white void.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, I serve no one." And he's like, "Ah, but take a look at this," and like gives him a glimpse at he banishes him to the shadow realm or something like that, and he's all like, oh, "No, it's true. Wait, no, it's a trick. It's a it's these are deceptions from my the traitors who would not bow down to me, and it's true after all, isn't it? I see." And then Magmatron's like, "You only got two options. You have to bow and take a knee and serve Lord Unicron, or yeah, I don't know, just like here's a gun with one bullet in it. If you want to, I'm just here. You go." And so he's like, "Well, I suppose it's time for me to go to the anti-matrix or something." And he like, I don't know, like rips his own spark out of his chest, which being a place between time and space, you wouldn't think you could interact with physical matter here. Like, you can't just punch Magmatron in the face here. This isn't reality.
Well, I mean,
Or
maybe he
is
can
it?
like he can touch himself. He can interact
Anyways,
with himself.
Count Chocula like kills himself.
Yeah.
I
And somehow, okay, so to summarize like the events, like what happens in the comic, I can do this very quickly.
yeah.
So, Count Chocula is doing some evil shit and saying some supervillain stuff. Some I will rule the world and you will bow down before me. Like just bullshit like that. It's not
Yeah.
even worth like I
No.
barely paid attention to what he was saying because it was just like supervillain stuff. Big Convoy and the gang are fighting him. Then all of a sudden, Lio Convoy and his gang show up, and one of Big Convoy's people is like, "Who are they?" And Big Convoy's like, "That good, buddy? That's the pack right there." As if like I'm supposed to give a shit. Like as if that's supposed to be a big, and maybe it would be a bigger thing if I had seen the Japanese Beast Wars extensively, which I have not done yet, but we will get there. And so Ravage is like I excuse me one moment. I need to consult with my boss.
I need to go take a whiz behind the
So
ship back here.
he steps into like Chronal like unspace, and him and Magmatron are all like, "Who scheming? We are evil." Twirling their mustaches.
And it's like, certainly approaching Count Chocula is certain death. And then Ravage is like, that's why I'll get a Maximal to do it. Oh, yes. Okay.
So yeah, I don't even remember how, but somehow Count Chocula ends up in
They
Chronal.
get a chronal shifter
I-
onto
in
him.
Oh, right. Yeah, like somebody like jumps up and sticks it on him, and then he enters like he chronal shift into turbo, and
So he goes into unspace.
yeah, on space. Uh, and Magmatron tells him, he's like, "Listen, buddy, you're just gonna get possessed by Unicron. Sucks to be you." And he's like, "No." And he's like, "Actually, yeah." And he's
Actually,
like,
yes. And he's like,
"No."
no, but
Actually, yes. Oh.
Ooh. That's
That
bad.
you can be a slave or you can be a rebel. You can shave your head and get a mohawk and put some studs on your jean jacket, sew some patches onto it. That's what you want to do, right? And he's like, "I think so," and rips his own spark out. And
The
somehow,
ultimate act of rebellion is just committing robot seppuku.
apparently, and so he somehow that result, and this is something that me and Cal were talking about before we even started the show. Somehow, this act destroys Untime or something and frees Magmatron. So Magmatron is back.
Yes, and he's like, "Oh, hey, it's me. I'm back." And nobody questions it
Yeah,
because we only got like 4 pages left, folks. No time to
and
answer
also
questions.
he would, and also like people like Lio Convoy and Big Convoy knew he was the bad guy in during Beast Wars: The Gathering, and no one's like, "You're under arrest, motherfucker." Cock their shotguns.
That's the thing, and it was like nobody's like, you're an enemy of like Cybertron. You literally
Pull out
tried
their
to
guns.
deceive your
Get
own
down on the
people.
fucking ground.
Get down, get down. He's got a weapon. Tase him. Right? Instead, they're all like, Magmatron, wow.
Sir, that's a cell phone. Too late. Start shooting.
And they're like, wow, hopefully together we can rebuild shoulder at shoulder. Kumbaya, my lord. And it, like, literally, nobody's like, again, you would think Lio, who are like the secret police on Cybertron, would be like, yeah,
Lio,
nice try, buddy.
Lio Convoy was the one who put Razor Beast as a spy in Magmatron's organization, so he knew that Magmatron was bad and up to shit.
And indeed, he's still bad, as we have seen with the scheming.
Yeah. So it's like, why didn't he just arrest him right away? Holy fuck, the writing
Because
is
Ravage came
so...
back and united the Predacons and the Maximals, and it's like out of everyone, Ravage convinced the Maximals and the Predacons to put their differences aside. Not like one of the primes, not one of the
Right.
convoys.
Right.
Ravage, the charismatic leader, Ravage. I don't, because he said Magmatron talked to him in a dream. I'm sorry. No. I I don't, I'm not buying that shit. Oh, by the way, the B plot for this, which we skimmed through, is way more interesting than the A plot. The B plot being Earth 70,000 years BC. Is like a giant piranha wasp stabbing uh infected angle slam razor beast and him
Yeah.
going giddy, which will probably be the cold open for this. um and the Maximals and Predacons are kind of all embittered. They're kind of all like, yeah, isn't that kind of fucked up that we were all just left here because like we were like broken and like injured?
Mm.
And the Maximals and the Predacons and the Mutocons are all like, yeah, fuck those guys. And
Wait, I still function. Wanna bet?
but to what end? Wanna bet? Yeah.
I love that in Transformers the movie. Starscream does that to Megatron. And then and then the next shot is just him like hitting his
Smiling
hands
at the
together.
so
Well,
well, now that that's been taken care of.
Fuck, that movie is great.
And that's the thing. It was like, we know there's good Transformers out there.
Yeah, yeah. Most of Beast Wars the show. Hell, a lot of Beast Machines and a lot of the War for Cybertron trilogy is also pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and with comics you can surpass the limitations of like CG budgets. And obviously there's still budgets, right? But like
But here's the thing. You need good writing in both mediums.
and that's what it ultimately comes down to, whether it's the IDW comic that came out in 2021.
Yep.
Whether it's The Gathering, whether it's The Ascending, whether it's the animated Netflix War for Cybertron. Good writing is what is going to make or break this.
Yeah. And indeed, it breaks it.
And
But
indeed,
it makes me long for the good old days, just like Grimlock when he goes into beast mode and is like, reminds me of the good old days. Yeehaw!
and I'm like, what are you talking about, Grimlock? Why would you? Grimlock says nothing. He says like one line in the last issue that was Grimlock like, and he's like, "Me, Grimlock, fear nothing." That's probably better than what was actually written.
Probably.
It reminds me of the good old days. So all the injured. Sorry, got sidetracked. All the injured Preds and Maxipals are like, well, we might as well die trying to fight, because as I forgot, there's still 2 angle moist agents trying to kill Razor Beast.
All right.
Remember, one of them's like a piranha wasp or whatever, and they're like, well, we don't have to help them, that has nothing to do with us. And they're like, yeah, but they're gonna turn on us after. And it's like, well, might as well go out on my own terms. Yeah, Maximals and Predacons fighting side by side, close together. And I think it's like one of the Predacons is like, maybe not that close.
Who is driving? Oh my god, Bear is driving. How can that be?
And they're like,
from the Clerks
hey,
cartoon.
Some of you smell funny, so maybe not shoulder to shoulder, but yeah, let's go help Razor Beast. And
Social distancing. 6 feet.
I don't know
2
which
meters.
one of you has the angle moist. I don't, or is that the angle moist is the green drug?
Yeah.
I don't know which one of you ate the chocolate Cocoa Puffs. The Count Chocula. And so they defeat it. Razor Beast is dead though, and everyone on that planet
Magmatron
is
is
just
like, we
left
should
there.
erect a monument in his honor. And I'm like, okay, sure,
I'm like,
whatever.
cool. And then they don't go back for them.
And the comic ends with a shot of Dragon Megatron. Enter the dragon,
Thank you for explaining. I had to
which
reread the last 4 pages like twice.
and I have it on good authority that we actually have a Dragon Megatron here in the studio with us.
To explain the ending of the Ascending
Yep, it's
in
Megatron's the one
person.
who's gonna be explaining this to you folks.
All right. Dragon Megatron. Please explain what ended up happening in the last couple pages of.
Well, you see, the final shot of the comic book, yes, is to place it, set its time within the canon of Beast Wars once and for all.
So what you're saying is all of this happened sometime before Beast Machines.
Yeah. So basically, so it's to we I can't remember if it was the or no, it was yeah, it was the beginning of the Ascending. They had mentioned that the Maximals were about to head back to Cybertron on the Autobot shuttle that they did at the
Right.
end of Beast Wars.
Right.
So now, if you remember at the end of Beast Wars, and what was ultimately explained in Beast Machines, Megatron broke because they stupidly like chained him to the outside of the ship, and I'm
Kind of
like,
torturous.
well, one, that's kind of cruel, especially, and
Right.
you would think he would be obliterated in transwarp space, but I guess not. Um, so the final shot of this comic is to tell us that Megatron has just arrived on Cybertron. This is when he broke free
This is
of
my interpretation.
okay.
Okay. So he arrived long before Primal.
Yeah, because of he arrived long before Gary and the Maximals, just because of like transwarp time travel bullshit.
Transwarp timey-wimey bullshit. What ended up happening is through a rare occurrence of transwarp travel back and forth between planet Energon, Megzy, Beast Wars Megatron, was able to hitch a ride, so to speak, catch a ride on Lio Convoy's ship.
Oh, the Yukikaze, I believe it's
Yeah.
called.
And because it showed him kind of crawling out from the wreckage.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Could
And
be,
that's
yeah.
how he got here earlier, is because he kind of like hitchhiked to a time where they were traveling to Cybertron earlier than when the Ark would have arrived.
Right. Could
And
be,
when
yeah.
we start filling in the plot holes with better
And
ideas,
maybe his transformation lock virus is a modified version of the angle slam.
oh, who was it? Boot Up. Who was the guy that they like contracted to make the virus, the retrovirus? There we
Oh,
go.
what was his name? His name was something dumb like Bump, I think.
Bump or Bunk or yeah.
Bunk.
But yeah,
That's
they need
that's
to make a
bunk, man.
retrovirus to
Okay, so
spread around Cybertron.
so
We
listeners,
completely missed this part.
local jargon is especially like back when we were teenagers in the early 2000s. Local jargon was like when you say something's bunk is to like say it's basically it sucks or it's shitty.
Yeah,
It's fucking bunk. It's
yeah.
very like a very regional thing. Like I even at the time like I'd been to other parts of Canada and no one said that.
Oh, I didn't even know. That
Yeah.
was so popular here. Yeah. And
Okay, so there's something this mercenary says that actually cracked me up, so thank you for reminding me.
oh, okay.
Um, yeah, his name is Bump.
Yeah.
So Big Convoy goes to like shake his hand and is like, Bump, thank you. If you and I got off on the wrong foot, I apologize. And he's like, no problem. I do what I do for a paycheck. You guys do all this for pretty much no thanks at all.
And it's like, okay, so that's one
I don't know
thing
why.
that
It just found. I
so
read it in Trucker Rhinox voice in my
me
head.
too. And so one of the things that bothered me about Bump, and it bothered me about the beginning of War for Cybertron. Bumblebee is like a for-profit, like he finds Energon and sells it. To what end? If the planet's
Septibucks.
literally Deceptibucks, if the planet's literally ending, like do or die.
Right.
So it's just weird to me that it's like, oh, I'm just gonna ride this war out and I'll be fine. Okay, okay. What do you want to get paid in? Deceptibucks. Oh, cool. The new regime uses Maxidollars, right? Like it never understood that.
Pulls out a photo of like the like an island in the Caribbean, and is like, yeah, I just got to do all this for I figure reckon another 3-4 years, and I should have enough Deceptibucks saved up to carve myself out a little nice little beachfront property right here. Points to it on the picture.
It's like, sir, that's a postcard from Earth. What? Yeah, it's a postcard from modern Earth. It's Miami.
What do you mean this was 300 years ago? What?
300 years, 5 million. Who knows? What's the difference?
Anyway, so
everybody holds hands and they're friends again.
and they start singing "Ba Weep Grana Weep Ninny and
Ba
dancing.
weep grana weep ninny bon. And they start dancing together, and Dragon Megsy is in the background being like, ah, yes, I'll take that virus now. How nice of you to something. Give it to me. And since everyone's infected with it already because of the angle slam, it'll be easy reprogramming you.
Well, and that is the comic. Here on Too Much Energon, we rate things on the Too Much Energon scale, which ranges from not enough Energon to a sufficient amount of Energon to too much Energon. It's basically bad, okay, good. Cal, what are you rating? What are you rating this comic?
Oh man, I think there were barely there's barely any traces of. I'm trying to think if I want to rate it even a not enough energon because of the jokes we were making.
No,
When
but
the
we got to judge it on its own merits, not out of the comedy that we were able to mine from it.
Here's the thing, if the best part of an entire issue is laughing at the sound effect that Razorbeast getting stabbed by a piranha wasp is Gani, and the best moment in the entire comic is Megsy standing by himself on the last page.
That is a really hype shot.
And it's a hype shot, but that's nostalgia.
Yeah.
It's not telling me a story. And let's say I didn't know who that was. If the hype shot is referring to a TV show that wasn't even that well received, you're not like, to you and I who like appreciate Beast Wars, like we're like, oh fuck yeah, like think about where they could go with that. But that has nothing to do with the
You mean
actual
Beast Machines?
the Beast Machines, sorry.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the comic, and it's not offensively bad. So it gets like the bottom of the barrel. Like, I've literally never seen Energon in my life except like from a distance or on TV. Not enough Energon.
Oh, yeah, as low as it can possibly go
Without opening the like offensively angry tier. Yeah. Like I'm not, and the like what one episode? There's like 1 or 2 episodes where we gave something like no Energon.
yeah.
And that's when it's like an affront when it's insulting to the plot, and this is just irrelevant. Like it's not doesn't make me angry, but it's completely forgettable. So it's the lowest not enough energon that I could possibly rate something.
I am actually going to give this no energon, and I'll tell you why. Because despite the fact that we've recorded some fun episodes of the podcast in relation to these issues of these comics, um, if I hadn't, if we hadn't been reviewing them for the show, I would have felt like I wasted my time reading them.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because if we hadn't been recording the show and I had read these, and I read The Gathering back in the day, back in 2006, but I never read The Ascending. The Ascending is even worse than The Gathering. If I hadn't been reading these for this show, I would have felt like I wasted my time. So it
That's a
gets a no
good
energon from
point.
me for that reason.
It has so many plot. You know what? I think we've complained enough about the plot holes in this and how offensively things are like tied up. Like they don't beat like Count Chocula because of like ingenuity. He's just like transported to the shadow realm. You know what? I think you swayed me. You explaining that if something is like a waste of time, that's worse than it just being bad.
Yeah.
And I think, you know what? That tips me. We sometimes we tip each other's scales. That's that's no energon. There's no energon here. It's anti.
It's anti-energon.
There's an anti-matrix and there's anti-matter. Hey, is there anti-energon, listeners? Siege, do you know if there's anti-energon in this universe? Did we just invent it?
Yes, the planet has anti-energon.
Good. We could harness enough so that we could power the anti-matrix of leadership. Is there an anti-matrix of leadership? Is there like a bad guy matrix of leadership?
I mean the he did refer to the anti-matrix, so I guess in this I don't know about the broader canon, but I know in this excuse oh, excuse me, folks.
He's allergic to anti-energon.
Yeah, it was the Transformers cops that I mentioned earlier, flicking the Suicide Squad Task Force X thing in my neck. He's complained about Transformers too much.
He's complained about Beast Wars too much.
Too much.
Take him out.
Anyway, that has been episode 110 of Too Much Energon. Best way to support the show is to go to patreon.com/lazorcomb, LAZORCOMB. We're at the single $5 Gary tier. You're going to get some new things. We are launching what we used to offer was preamble audio, which there's still a archive of literally like hundreds of those on there that you'll still get access to of us talking about random bullshit. 38 episodes of our news and current events program, Lasercomb Tonight. Commentary tracks and the ability to pick a show for us to review a random episode of on our other podcast, the Lasercomb podcast. Starting this week, probably not at the time of recording, but later on in the week, starting this week, the concept of the preambles and Lasercomb Tonight are kind of being merged into a singular standalone show, a Patreon exclusive show called the Super Lasercomb Patreon Super Show. It's a little more, so it's not going to be quite as off the cuff as the preambles. It's a little bit more structured, but we're still going to be just talking about like random bullshit stuff.
We're
that
just
doesn't
combining the random bullshit from our lives with funny or Elon Musk related
yeah.
like news that we've like heard of, but this way it's a little bit less one or the other.
Yeah, it's a little it kind of just puts everything together and kind of like streamlines things, and it It'll probably be more consistent because we'd like kind of fallen off of Lasercomb tonight. Because when that show started originally, it was supposed to be a weekly show, and it was weekly for a little while, and then it kind of became every couple of weeks, and then once a
It
month.
became a chore, and it's like, what?
And like my schedule changed, so it's like I don't have nearly as much time to record now as I used to, which that's an entirely different rant right there. Um, so eventually Lasercomb Tonight became like a thing we did like every couple of months. But like I still like talking about like funny or interesting news
Oh, yeah.
stories. So I'm like, let's just like combine the preamble and Lasercomb Tonight. It's gonna be less news stories, probably only like 2 or 3 a week. But gonna be a weekly show. The Super Lasercomb Patreon Super Show. Launching this week on patreon.com/lasercomb. So if you want to get in on that, go there and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at Lasercomb, LAZORCOMB. Or you can follow the show proper at Too Much Energon. Or you can follow Cal at
NeoCal on Twitter. NEO_KAL.
We'll be back next week with episode 111 of Too Much Energon, where we are going to be talking about Transformers Timelines, Dawn of Future Past. A comic book that I think it got a standalone release, but the reason why I've read it is because it actually comes with the 15th anniversary Beast Wars DVD box set. It's a little prequel that details like the stealing of the golden discs. It's not bad, actually. From what I remember, I haven't read it in several years at this point, but from what I remember, it's not bad. So we're going to be back next week with that. And until then, I've been The Siege, one of your hosts.
And it's me, Cal, signing off.
Thanks for listening. We will angle slam you next week.
And make sure that you're angle moist. I mean, count unicorn puffs. And we made a statue of Razor Beast, and everybody clapped.
Anti-chocolat soggy milk Cheetor puffs.
Anti-matrix soggy puffed Cheetor puffs.
Yeah.
It rolls off the tongue. Found at a convenience store on Cybertron near you.
Much like this podcast. Bye-bye.